All right, let's get right into it. If you've got any kind of fruit trees or even just some nice shrubs, you know the feeling, right? You spend the whole summer fighting off pests. But what if I told you the single most important battle of the year actually happens in the dead of winter, while your trees are totally asleep? Today, we are talking about one of the most powerful and honestly most overlooked tools a gardener has, dormant oil. And that quote, it just nails it, doesn't it? This is the whole strategy right here. We're not waiting around to react to problems in May or June. We are wiping them out in February before they can even get started. It's about thinking like a general, not just a gardener. So you look out at your bare trees this winter and it all seems so quiet, so peaceful. But you know what? That's just a cover. In reality, what you're looking at is a battlefield in waiting. Hiding in every little crack and crevice is a silent army of pests just biding their time. And let's get a closer look at this so-called silent army. We're talking about millions of microscopic aphid and mite eggs basically glued to the twigs. You've got adult scale insects hiding under their little armor-plated shells, mealybugs tucked deep into the bark. The list goes on. These guys are designed to survive the winter, just waiting to explode onto that fresh, tender new growth in the spring.
So how in the world do you fight an army you can barely even see? Well, you don't wait for them to mobilize. You launch a preemptive strike. And you do it with a smarter weapon. Let's talk about horticultural oil. And here's the absolute crucial point to understand. Horticultural oil is not a chemical poison. It's a super refined, really lightweight oil that works using simple physics. We're not poisoning the bugs, we are smothering them with a physical attack they are totally defenseless against. Now, you've probably heard the term dormant oil before. Well, back in the day, that name referred to these really heavy, unrefined oils that would, no joke, completely fry a tree if it had any leaves on it. But today's oils are so pure and light, we call them horticultural oils. The word dormant now just refers to the timing, applying it at a stronger rate while the tree's dormant.
So when you're out shopping for this stuff, there's one key number you really want to look for, 92%. That's the unsulfonated residue, or UR rating. Basically, just think of it as a purity score. The higher that number, the cleaner the oil, and the safer it is for your plants. It's that simple. And this right here is the single greatest thing about using oil. It's a total game changer. See, with chemical pesticides, bugs can, and do, evolve resistance over time. But you know what they can't develop a resistance to? Suffocation. It's a physical kill method that works just as well today as it did 100 years ago. So how does this actually work? How does a simple spray of oil take out these tough little critters? Well, this is a really cool part. It's not magic. It's not some complex chemistry. It is just elegant, straight-up physics.
It's basically a simple 1-2-3 punch. First, the spray completely coats the insect or its egg in a super thin film of oil. Second, that film blocks what are called spiracles. They're just tiny holes that insects use to breathe. And third, with no oxygen coming in, the pest, or the little embryo inside the egg, simply suffocates. It's clean, it's effective, and it's direct.
All right, enough science, let's get practical. Think of this next part as your mission plan. To pull this off, you need to know exactly who you're targeting, precisely when to attack, and, of course, how to execute the mission perfectly to get the job done right.
So here's our hit list again. Remember that silent army we talked about? We're going right after the overwintering forms of some of the worst offenders. All those aphid and mite eggs just waiting to hatch, and those tough armored scale insects that pretty much laugh off most summer sprays. Okay, listen up, because timing is everything. If you spray in the middle of winter, the pests are in such a deep sleep, it doesn't really work well. If you wait until the leaves are out, you'll burn the foliage. The sweet spot, the absolute perfect time, is a stage called delayed dormant. You'll see the buds just starting to swell up, maybe showing a little silver tip. At that very moment, the pests are starting to wake up and breathe more, which makes them incredibly vulnerable. That's when you strike. And speaking of timing, here's one rule you absolutely cannot break. We call it the 40-40 rule. It's super simple. The temperature has to be above 40 degrees Fahrenheit when you spray, and it needs to stay above freezing for the next 24 hours. Why? Because if that oil and water mix freezes on the bark, it can separate, and the pure oil can actually damage your tree.
Now hold on, this stuff is an amazing tool, but it is not for every plant. You have to avoid spraying certain species. For example, on a blue spruce, it'll literally dissolve the waxy coating that makes it blue, and it'll turn green for a year. Other trees like Japanese maples just have bark that's too sensitive. So always check if your tree is on this sensitive list.
When it comes time to actually spray, remember this: dormant oil is a contact killer. That means a light little mist isn't going to do a thing. You have to achieve 100% coverage. We're talking spraying until the entire tree, every single twig, every branch, every little crevice is literally dripping wet. That is how you know you got them all. So let's just zoom back out for a second and bring this all together. This whole process, it's not just about killing a few bugs in the winter. Applying dormant oil is really a foundational step for a smart, responsible, and often organic way to care for your garden for the whole year.
And the payoff is huge. You are essentially hitting the reset button on the pest population, taking it back to zero. This drastically reduces or even eliminates the need for harsher chemical sprays later in the summer. Plus, you're protecting all the good bugs like ladybugs and lacewings because they haven't even shown up yet. In the end, you're making sure your tree's precious energy goes into making beautiful fruit and flowers, not just fighting for its life.
You know, it really all comes down to this one simple, brilliant idea. An ounce of oil in winter is worth a gallon of poison in the spring. This single action, on one chilly morning in late winter, can prevent a whole season's worth of problems. It is the absolute definition of working smarter, not harder.
So the next time you look at your dormant trees, don't just see stillness, see the battlefield. And ask yourself, what's hiding on your trees? And what's your plan to win the war before it even begins?